The King's Avatar, Chapter 1575 Farewell, Lin Jingyan, Audio Source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1575 Farewell, Lin Jingyan. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Clear, accurate, logical. The reporters present had all heard Zhang Xinji make this kind of post-match analysis before, but they were still amazed at Zhang Xinji's calm. Even after this defeat, which had ruined a year's worth of hard work, no one could tell that his mood had been affected at all. Was he not bitter? Was he not disappointed? Was he not regretful? Of course he felt those things. No pro player could remain completely unaffected after this kind of defeat. But Zhang Xinji could hide his own mood like this, could control himself to do the appropriate thing at the appropriate time. The reporters ask for our opinion of the opponents. Alright, whether you actually want to know or are just making conversation. Since you've asked this, when it's my turn to answer, I will answer in a direct manner. The reporters couldn't be more satisfied with the post-match analysis that Zhang Xinji gave. Their reports on this match could be much more sophisticated. But now, how could they bring up the topic that everyone was more concerned about? Zhang Xinji only talked about strategy, not emotion, so they couldn't find a good transition point anywhere in the whole speech he gave. This was Zhang Xinji's consistently strict style in accepting interviews. His answers always addressed the current question, nothing more. You couldn't find any content in them that would give rise to new topics. Not a single drop ever leaked. There was no way to progress naturally from here, so the reporters could only start anew. It really was an incredibly thrilling match. Quote, one reporter followed Zhang Xinji's analysis with a word of praise, then began to change the topic. Then, after today's loss, what are all of your plans for the future? The question was very direct. And this was exactly the question that everyone was most concerned about. Instantly, the press conference quieted down. I can still continue to fight, said Captain Han Wenqing. The keen reporters immediately realized something. Han Wenqing had used the word. Even though he was the captain, at this moment, he did not speak for the whole team. Everyone immediately guessed the hidden news revealed by this sentence. Han Wenqing could continue to fight, but some people could not. I as well, Zhang Xinji answered after him. Of course he could. He was of the golden generation. Compared to Season 1 and 2 debuts, he still had plenty of matches left to fight. The question that everyone cared about had never been directed at him. I won't give up either, the next person said. But when the reporters' gazes turned, they already began to recognize something even more clearly. Tyranny's current seating order on stage: Han Wenqing, Zhang Xinji, Lin Jingyan, Zhang Jiale. As the captain, Han Wenqing answered first, but he didn't represent the whole team, he only spoke for himself. And then Zhang Xinji. And then, it wasn't the next person in line, Lin Jingyan, who spoke, but Zhang Jiale. Lin Jingyan was skipped. Evidently, it was because they knew that what Lin Jingyan was going to say wouldn't be of the same atmosphere as the rest of them. Everyone's gazes turned back to Lin Jingyan. Cameras and everything were all at the ready. They had all already guessed, an ending had finally arrived. Lin Jingyan stood up. He wore a smile on his face. This representative of Glory's brawler class, he himself had always had a refined and gentle air about him. I think it's about time I finished. Lin Jingyan finally opened his mouth. The prepared reporters instantly clicked the shutters of their cameras. They need to record these images, these sounds, this scene. And of the other three Tyranny players sitting on stage, Han Wenqing's face was as strong and unyielding as ever, and Zhang Xinji was also calm. Only Zhang Jiale's face showed a bit of sadness at this moment. Was it because of today's loss? Or was it because of Lin Jingyan's imminent retirement? Or a bit of both? It seemed like he wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't open his mouth. It was clear that his Tyranny teammates already knew Lin Jingyan's decision. Perhaps they had tried to persuade him otherwise, but in the end, they chose to respect his decision. None of them said anything, giving this moment entirely to him. And in this end, I want to give thanks. Lin Jingyan continued to say. First, I want to thank the teammates sitting beside me. Before coming to Tyranny, I never thought that one day I'd have the chance to fight alongside all of you for the championship. You are all the most outstanding players in the Alliance. To be able to fight side by side with you is my fortune, and the glory of my lifetime. Therefore, I also want to give special thanks to Tyranny as a team. I thank this team for giving me such a good opportunity, even in the twilight years of my career. These 2 years, for me, have been fulfilling and happy. My only regret is that I was still unable to lift that championship trophy alongside everyone's, and here I would like to apologize to Tyranny, that I cannot continue to work hard with everyone. This decision does not come lightly. It is a careful decision that I have made after considering my own condition. I believe that my professional career should end here. No life is perfect, and it's unfortunate that I wasn't able to win a championship. But from Wind Howl to Tyranny, I have always had the most outstanding teammates at my side. It is glory that allowed me to meet you all. What I want to say is, to be able to play Glory, to become a Glory Pro player, this is the greatest fortune of my entire life. Today, I leave this stage first. But I won't leave Glory, I never will. I will still watch you, and I hope that you will fulfill your dreams. In the end, I want to give my best wishes to everyone connected to Glory. It is Glory that has linked us all together. This will be the glory of our lifetimes. Thank you everyone, I wish you all the best. Lin Jingyan bowed, concluding his farewell speech. The reporters had finally gotten to a relatively interesting topic, but in this moment, they wished that this news didn't exist. They wished that Lin Jingyan could be like Han Wenqing, Zhang Xinji, Zhang Jiale, and express his intent to continue working hard. But, no. Everything that had just happened was real. Lin Jingyan had already declared his retirement. He was leaving. This Season 2 debut, this pinnacle player, the #1 brawler, had finally finished walking the path of his professional career. He hadn't won a championship, and he hadn't had any special individual accomplishments. Before he'd joined Tyranny, he'd never even made it to the finals. And yet he still was indomitable, he still pressed on relentlessly, he still worked hard for victory. No one would laugh at him, even if he was already surpassed by his junior during his career. Because this was an inevitable law created from the passage of time, there was nothing laughable about this. What everyone saw was that, even when Tang Hao seized the title of #1 brawler from him, seized his position in Wind Howl, seized the character with which he'd fought for 7 years, he hadn't seized his fighting spirit, nor had he seized his championship heart. Lin Jingyan came to Tyranny, and with joy and elegance he fought alongside his new teammates for another 2 years, all the way until he himself felt that he'd reached his end. Only then did he set everything down. No one could force him to choose to leave, no one but himself. WuxRWorldAudio.com. Thank you everyone, I wish you all the best. Lin Jingyan had said. And now, the other 3 Tyranny players on stage had already turned around. They shook hands with Lin Jingyan, they embraced him, they gave him their well wishes. Perhaps there was sadness in their hearts, but on their faces, nothing but determination brimmed. No matter where the road led, they would continue to walk it with determination. No compromise, no regret, no hesitation. Walk forward, straight ahead. Goodbye. After he finished his exchanges with his teammates, Lin Jingyan waved to the reporters below. He gave a final nod to his three teammates, before turning and walking toward the exit passageway. Was it over? The reporters were a bit stunned, but soon, they realized that Han Wenqing, Zhang Xinji, Zhang Jiale, these three players had already sat back down at their seats. It was as though nothing had happened, as though that empty seat had been empty since the beginning. Lin Jingyan had made his decision, and they had made theirs as well. Lin Jingyan had already bid farewell to this stage, and so he left. And they had chosen to stay, chosen to continue, and so, this press conference would continue. The reporters were in a daze. Having never experienced this kind of scene before, they didn't know what they should ask the three remaining players. They even hoped that this press conference would quickly come to an end, which was something they'd never felt before. Tyranny's determination, tyranny's unwavering spirit, they felt it, and they almost couldn't bear the weight of it. Then, after Lin Jingyan's retirement, what adjustments will tyranny make? Quote, in the end, someone still stood up to ask a question. Naturally, there will be someone to fill the opening, said Han Wenqing. Then could you reveal who it'll be? Will it be someone in tyranny, or will moves be made during the transfer window? One reporter asked. This hasn't been decided yet, said Han Wenqing. All right. By this point, the reporters no longer had their normal strength to desperately fight for answers. The atmosphere was completely smothered, and after these two questions, it instantly became silent again. At last, tyranny's news official stood up and said, then, if there are no further questions, the press conference can end here. All right, that's fine. The reporters quickly agreed. It was over. Tyranny's press conference was over, and the professional career of a top player was also over. But on this stage, even as some people left, others would continue to resolutely walk onward. Others of tyranny would walk onward. And right now, happy, this team, their road this season hadn't ended yet, they still had more to walk. The finals, the championship, this newbie team in the alliance had actually made it to the finals. Just making it here was already a miracle, just this step was enough of an explosive topic. Happy walked on stage. They'd sent out 3 representatives. Yishu, Fang Rui, Luoji. Excellent. These people got the reporters excited. After tyranny left, they'd returned to their normal condition and instantly detected the interesting topic here. Without even asking about Happy themselves, someone had already stood up and asked, do you know that Lin Jingyan just announced his retirement? As soon as the question came out, everyone looked at Fang Rui, Lin Jingyan's partner of many years in Wind Howl. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1576 Storm's End. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1576 Storm's End. Translator, Noam Yummy. Editor, Noam Yummy. The silence of the press conference was far quieter than Happy's prep room. Even though they could see the live broadcast of Lin Jingyan's retirement announcement on the television, the Alliance rookies still had limited experience with the helplessness and grief of retirement. Moreover, they were still immersed in the wild joy of having made it to the finals. The news of Lin Jingyan's retirement didn't change the atmosphere in Happy's prep room. The young players were still laughing merrily, but at that moment, melancholy still spread in Happy's prep room. Yishu had known Lin Jingyan for a long time. They'd fought against each other from Season 2 until now, so they were no strangers. Yishu had played from Season 1 all the way until today, and over the course of these years, he'd seen familiar faces leaving one after another. Some had been teammates, some had been opponents, but in that moment of departure, everyone would forget these identities. All they would feel was the departure of a partner. Today was the same. Another familiar face was fading away. Yishu was silent. Feng Rui, too, was silent. He hadn't known Lin Jingyan for as long as Yishu had, but he, who had debuted in Season 5, had immediately come to Lin Jingyan's side. It was Lin Jingyan who had watched him grow, and then they'd become a famous duo. And then after Season 8, Season 9, they'd gone their separate ways. To Feng Rui, Lin Jingyan had been both a teacher and a friend. If he had to pick the player in the alliance that he respected the most, Feng Rui would vote for Lin Jingyan without any hesitation, even if Lin Jingyan wasn't the best player in the circle. And now, he had left. Feng Rui, who now already had several years of professional experience, had realized that this day would come eventually. But he had never imagined that he would witness Lin Jingyan's departure like this. He originally thought that the two of them would fight side by side until one day, Lin Jingyan would suddenly smile and say he couldn't fight any longer. And then Feng Rui would make fun of him for it, but Lin Jingyan wouldn't change his mind, and just like that, smiling, he would say goodbye. And today, he saw it. Lin Jingyan was smiling. He said farewell to everyone, but it was after being defeated by the team that Feng Rui represented. The sadness hidden beneath the smile, how many people could feel it? Feng Rui knew Lin Jingyan definitely still hoped to win a championship. He hoped so much. But the ones who had ultimately destroyed that hope were himself and Happy. Lin Jingyan would have no more chances, because he had already chosen to leave. I wish you all the best. He gave his well wishes to everyone, and this, of course, included Feng Rui. But how could this kind of well-wishing make someone feel better? Feng Rui, at least, wouldn't. He couldn't bear to watch any longer, and in that moment, he found an excuse and left Happy's prep room. After him, Wei Chen, this old guy who had retired early on only to return many years later, ignored the rules that forbade smoking in the prep room, and roughly pulled out a cigarette. Unlike normal, Chen Guo didn't go to scold him. As a senior Glory fan, even though she had never personally experienced this kind of goodbye, she had seen it happen like this many times before. And now that she had entered this circle, she felt the pain, and she was aware that she would gradually see these farewells occurring next to her. Wei Chen, Yishu, and then after that, Suma Chung, Feng Rui. Chen Guo was scared, truly very scared. She watched as Feng Rui mumbled something and left the prep room. No one tried to stop him. Even the still celebrating rookies, at this time, recognized that the prep room wasn't entirely this joyful atmosphere, and they quieted down as they saw Feng Rui leave. And then, they saw the broadcast of the press conference, as Lin Jingyan hugged and said goodbye to the other three Tyranny players, thanked everyone, and left. Those whose brains moved a little faster already realized something. Feng Rui had left the prep room, and Lin Jingyan was returning from the press conference. Then, wouldn't these two meet in the passageway? The prep room instantly went quiet, and someone had even muted the television, as though it would disrupt the two talking in the passageway. No one moved, no one made a sound, until the door to the prep room was pushed open again. "It's our turn," Feng Rui said calmly, standing in the doorway. And so Yishu and Luoji, the two that Happy had already arranged to participate in the press conference, walked out of the prep room. In the passageway, they saw Lin Jingyan, who smiled at them, and then patted Feng Rui. He didn't return to Tyranny's prep room, but instead continued to walk down this passageway, which would eventually lead outside the stadium. "Let's go." Yishu didn't watch him any longer. He waved at the others, and the three Happy players walked out of the passageway, toward the press conference. "Do you know that Lin Jingyan just announced his retirement?" The reporters had already pulled out their first question. "Yes," Yishu nodded. "Could each of you say some of your thoughts on this?" The reporter emphasized, "Each of you." Evidently, they weren't very interested in Yishu answering this question. What they wanted to hear was Feng Rui's thoughts. Fang Rui didn't shy away, voluntarily taking the microphone, so Yishu didn't try to say anything first. Just as the reporters wanted, he waited for Fang Rui to say his thoughts. "I wish him the best." Fang Rui took the microphone and said 5 words. Everyone quietly waited, but then, there was nothing after. Fang Rui said only these 5 words. To his partner of many years, to his teacher and friend, to Lin Jingyan, whose lifelong dream he'd personally ruined, Fang Rui only said these 5 words. That's all? The reporters didn't give up. They wanted to hear some more deeply moving thoughts. That's all. Quote. But Fang Rui shook his head, smiling, just like Lin Jingyan. All of his thoughts, all that he'd wanted to say, he'd already said to Lin Jingyan when they met in that passageway. To Fang Rui, this was enough. There was no need to retell it to these reporters. After that, there was nothing left but to wish him well. Him, and only him. But the reporters still refused to give up easily. Even if Lin Jingyan hadn't retired today, as a former partnership, meeting on stage was still a big topic. Forgive my bluntness. Quote. Another reporter opened his mouth. It seemed like your performance today didn't meet expectations. Was it because your former partner was among your opponents, and you found it difficult to fight against him? My performance today was indeed not very good, so it was lucky that the team could still win the match. In the upcoming matches, I will continue to fight to my fullest. Fang Rui said. It seemed like a very ordinary response, but at this moment it was quite clever, completely avoiding the issue of former partners, and then taking responsibility for his poor performance, analyzing the results, and facing the future. How were the reporters supposed to continue? What else could they ask? There was no way they could continue to tangle with questions about Lin Jingyan. They could only begin to ask serious questions about Happy's performance this match. The analysis that Zhang Xinjie had provided in the press conference suddenly became important data that everyone could use to ask Happy questions. Was Happy completing a life-risking strike against Zhang Xinjie's immovable rock in the team round today, a carefully trained tactic prepared beforehand? A reporter asked. Yishu laughed. Don't use Zhang Xinjie's analysis to ask me questions. I was watching the broadcast. Everything he analyzed was wrong. The reporters instantly felt like face-palming. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Everyone knew that Yishu was spouting nonsense. But he so rudely scorned Zhang Xinjie's analysis just like that. What were the reporters supposed to do? Before, Yishu never appeared at these sorts of events. When it came to press conferences, in reality, both Yishu and Luoji were rookies. But this rookie was terrifyingly difficult to deal with. Compared to those who were very slippery when answering questions, Yishu simply didn't care about them. When a question came, he would just casually make something up, and when you turned around to ask clarification, he could forget what he just said. Worst of all was that he never tried to avoid this point. He would simply reply to you, very honestly. Really? Did I say that? So what if he'd said it? So what if he hadn't said it? Could the reporters report on the sort of made-up nonsense he spouted? Of course not. Wouldn't it make the reporters look like they had very low IQ for believing that kind of nonsense? Seeing Yishu activate this status once again, the reporters internally freaked out, but on the surface they still gave off a very even-tempered and good-humored air. Then, was there any special reason for sending out Luoji in this match? Someone asked. Trang rookies on the big stage. It's just like how Tyranny sent out Song King. We sent out Luoji, Yishu said, very seriously. Motherfucker. The reporters raged in their hearts. This kind of reply here was simply evasive. Maybe you didn't believe it, but what he said followed logic. Maybe you believed it, but you'd always feel that something was wrong with what he said, that you were being taken for a ride. And were braver than Tyranny. In this critical match, we actually sent out as many as 3 rookies. Yishu continued to speak. The reporters wanted to cry. Try not sending them up. In your happy, aside from you, Fang Rui, Suma Chung, and Wei Chen, who's not a rookie? Perhaps in the finals, we'll experiment with a full rookie roster. Let them accept the toughest test of all. Yishu said. Who believed that? Who would believe that? Send rookies into the finals to train? This was taking the joke to the extreme. The reporters all looked miserable. How were they supposed to write today's article? Some were already mentally in a different place. It looked like this press conference wasn't going to give them any material. Then, shall we end here today? Quote. In the end, Happy's press conference hastily came to a close. The reporters didn't resist much. They weren't even in the mood to snap a few extra pictures. Once upon a time, getting a picture of Yishu had been such a beautiful and rare accomplishment, but now, seeing this guy appear in the camera lens, everyone only felt like their mouths were dry. They didn't know what to ask, and they didn't know what they should listen for. The press conference ended. At last, the curtain fell on the winds and storms of today's match. The losers, the victors, they all walked their own paths. But no matter what kind of path they took, the direction in which they charged was always the same. They each took their own path, but it was always the path chasing victory, the path to be champions. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1577, The Potential World War. Audio source, wushaaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1577, The Potential World War. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. After fighting for almost a week in City Q, Team Happy finally returned to their home city H. What awaited them was a torrential downpour. Samsara, Happy 1 was a championship team that had won 2 consecutive championships, while the other was a new team that had just joined the alliance. These two teams, with a world of disparity between them, ultimately entered the finals together. No one would dare underestimate Happy ever again. No one would dismiss them as a grassroots team ever again. 6th place in the regular season, defeating the powerhouses Blue Rain and Tyranny in the playoffs, Happy was currently attracting everyone's attention with an unstoppable momentum. Now, not only did people want to see the birth of a new dynasty, a number of Glory players also wanted to see the birth of a miracle, a new team that had just entered the alliance, with never-resting footsteps, snatching the championship. At midnight, the victory polls for the first round of the finals and the finals as a whole had all opened. By 8:00 in the morning, after 8 hours, the support that both teams had received was actually tied. Before this, whether facing Blue Rain or Tyranny, the rate of support that Happy received was always lower by a huge margin. Even if the team had no lack of all-stars, even if the team had the best rookie, even if they had brought surprise after surprise over the course of this season. Despite all that, in the playoffs, the Glory fans still didn't look favorably upon them. Until today. Until now. They defeated Blue Rain, defeated Tyranny. Happy had received enough trust. In the pre-match support poll, they were in fact tied with Samsara. Samsara, 51.6%. Happy, 48.4%. Samsara had a slight lead, but such a small difference was really nothing. For Happy to be able to split the vote so evenly with Samsara, that was already enough to prove how remarkable they were. Even if it were Blue Rain or Tyranny who had entered the finals, it was possible that they wouldn't be able to tie the vote like this. But Happy, under unfavorable circumstances, defied all expectations to make it here. This led more people to become interested in them, and people began to once again look forward to the unexpected. 3 days later, City H.C. Ocean Stadium, would that be where the miracle began? The rain washed clean Sea Ocean Stadium, and because it was such a downpour, the streets were unusually cool and clear. No matter how passionate or enthusiastic the Happy fans were, in this kind of weather, they couldn't cheer on Happy with all the energy they would have liked. But business at Happy Internet Cafe was exploding in this weather. The Internet Cafe no longer seemed like an Internet Cafe, even the aisles were packed. Using excuses like finding shelter from the rain, everyone scurried into the Internet Cafe and began enthusiastically talking about the upcoming finals match. Even those who were sitting at computers weren't really using their computers. Everyone was discussing with the people next to them. They might know each other, or they might not. This wasn't important. Right now, those who were gathered here, they all had the same hope, the same anticipation, for Happy to win the championship. The second floor of Happy Internet Cafe could be considered Team Happy's base of operations. Even though they were a team that had already made it to the finals, the team's simple infrastructure couldn't be changed immediately. Right now, all the members of Happy had gathered in this drawing room that was definitely last place in the alliance. Yesterday, they had traveled through the night to return to City H. Luckily, the ugly weather hadn't affected their flight. And this morning, they were once again unaffected by the weather, and right on time, they arrived at the drawing room. This kind of discipline was required during the regular season. After the playoffs began, Yishu advocated individual adjustment more. The team didn't schedule too many drawing plans, and instead allowed the players to arrange their own time. But now, they were at the finals, only one step away from winning the championship. Happy's players had spontaneously complied with the discipline of the regular season, and gathered here just like this. What's going on? Didn't I say that there were no plans this morning, and that you all should rest up? Yishu said, seeing the room full of people. Everyone scoffed. Look at you. When you're talking, can't you look at your own standpoint first? You said there were no plans in the morning and that we should rest, but aren't you also standing here right now anyway? When you're saying something like this, could you not be so matter-of-fact? Alright. Since everyone's here, then let's enjoy Samsara's exciting performance in the playoffs. Quote, as Yishu spoke, he was already setting up the screen to display data on Samsara that no one knew when he'd organized. Samsara's strength couldn't be doubted, and Happy had recognized this point long ago. In the first match of the regular season, they were swept by Samsara, and at the halfway point of the season, when the teams switched stadiums and fought again, Happy had only won 3 points. But the results of the regular season didn't affect Happy too much. Blue Rain, Tyranny. Hadn't these two teams each defeated Happy twice in the regular season? But the one who had the last laugh in the finals was Happy. To use past victory and defeat as the basis of judgment, that was something the media loved doing. Their work was to find topics to discuss, and discussing the past encounters of two teams was undoubtedly a very accurate line of thought. But for pro players, for pro teams, past defeats were simply sources of experience. They wouldn't feel unduly humbled, nor would this make them feel that defeating the opponent was too difficult. Every match was a new start. Every victory required two hands to build once again. Failing to defeat Samsara in the regular season had nothing to do with the present. On this point, Happy's faith was unshakable. They weren't tied down by their past failures. Under Yishu's leadership, they clearly and logically analyzed the Samsara that they were about to face in the playoffs. 1 day, 2 days. The sky was clear after the rain. This was Happy's home. These were the streets where past excellent era fans and current Happy fans ruled. When, gradually, chants rose up in support of Samsara, everyone knew Samsara was here. The reigning champions, the ones who were currently gunning for their third straight championship, Team Samsara had arrived in City H. As the saying went, a powerful dragon could not crush a snake in its home. But the atmosphere change that occurred in Happy's home streets after Samsara arrived. There was the impression of a fierce dragon crossing the river. At this time, security was increased in the area to prevent clashes between the fans of the two teams. WorldAudio.com. Luckily, these fans were all Glory players, so if there were any real conflicts, 80% of the time they would just find some computers and begin a round of Glory PK. A street brawl didn't really fit the spirit of Glory's die-hard fans. So Glory, as a competitor, would always see its fans clashing, but very rarely would situations escalate to harming physical safety, precisely because they had this different way of resolving conflict. Most of them preferred to display their brains and power in Glory. The match day approached steadily, and the fans of the two teams steadily gathered. In the streets, the atmosphere seemed harmonious, but beneath that calm, the surrounding internet cafes had seen countless ferocious Glory PKs. One day, Happy's Wu Chen with a dark expression had gathered a whole group of people and left the cafe, killing his way to who knows where. But afterward, he had returned with that same dark expression, so he probably hadn't managed to accomplish anything good. On Happy's side, Wu Chen was still at the head. But because Samsara had made it to the finals, Guild Leader 3 Realms 6 Paths, as an in-game leader, of course came to city himself. He brought a whole group of Samsara workers with him and took over Grand Internet Cafe, making it their battle headquarters. The two teams hadn't even officially begun to fight, but the battle between the fans of the two teams was already escalating non-stop. But under the control of the two guild leaders, the battle at least hadn't escalated to wild PK in-game. For now, everyone still resolved things in the arena. Clearly, under these circumstances, the two guild leaders still hadn't lost their cool. Wild PK, no matter who had the upper hand, would always end up harming both sides, and it would give the rest of the guilds an opportunity to get AEAD. The two guild leaders didn't forget their true responsibilities at this time, and they didn't let the finals affect the balance in game. But this was only temporary. After all, the matches hadn't even been fought yet. If the players really were provoked by what happened in the matches, then nothing could stop the explosion. In past years, more often than not, large-scale wild battles would erupt between the two guilds, all because after a certain point, the guild leader could no longer keep control. Guild Excellent Dynasty, supporting Excellent Era's dynasty, was originally the most powerful guild in game, but precisely because the team entered the finals 4 times, it had gone through all of those world wars. This time it'd be war against one, next time war against another, again and again for 4 years. They'd had to fight every year, but their opponent was always changing. They fought for 4 years, and then Excellent Era's dynasty was broken, and Excellent Dynasty's strength was greatly weakened. After that, when the 3 great guilds were named in-game, they were Tyrannical Ambition, Herb Garden, and Blue Brook. The once all-powerful Excellent Dynasty could not lift this title to 4 great guilds. And because of this lesson learned from Excellent Dynasty's mistakes, after that, guilds would always be very, very careful. After Excellent Era, Tiny Herb entered the finals 3 times. There was 1 small war, 1 large war, and finally the 3rd time passed calmly. The small war was Season 5, against 100 Blossoms. In the middle of that season, 100 Blossoms' Sun Zheping's injury rendered him unable to fight. When the finals arrived, 100 Blossoms was filled with a determination to win the championship for Sun Zheping, but, unfortunately, they lost to Tiny Herb. After the match, the fans immediately began fighting in-game, but then, Sun Zheping made the official announcement that he was retiring due to his injury. 100 Blossoms was in no mood to engage in a world war, so in the end, it was no more than a small war. And then in Season 6, Tiny Herb's consecutive championship was fiercely stolen away by Blue Rain. The world war that came afterward was shocking, the fiercest in history. It was from this battle that the deep feud between the two teams was born. And then in Season 7, Tiny Herb once again met 100 Blossoms. The two teams both had experience with the finals and very much understood the harm of allowing the flames of battle spread to the guilds. Thus, this time, with the hard work of the guild leaders to maintain the peace, they managed to control the situation in-game, and no war occurred. This became the only time so far that everything ended peacefully. And then Seasons 8 and 9 had both seen guild world wars. But under the leadership and control of the guild leaders, they ended fairly quickly after everyone vented their emotions, and there were no lasting injuries. And this time, Samsara, happy. In-game, they couldn't be considered top guilds, but the tide began to build toward a potential world war. End chapter.